We are tonight's entertainment.
You can't handle the truth.
The fire rises.
Pizza time.
You're a wizard, Harry.
So it begins.
You know how much I sacrifice?
You think that's air you're breathing?
Groovy.
I don't have friends. I got family.
We are sex people! 1, 2, 3, 4!
Craft services.
Trentster, my favorite little Trent. Parth, you also host this podcast.
Oh, no, that's cool. I'll go fuck myself. That's not a problem. What have you been eating?
Hello, by the way, you're looking well.
Oh, thank you.
I had to make up for lost time because I didn't mean to give you the cold shoulder I didn't have enough
That's
time.
fine.
To
We
think
just
of-
had a
think
lovely
of- think of a
conversation
song.
before recording, but that seemed to mean nothing. That's cool. That is cool.
It's 12:52 p.m. currently, but as problematic as it may sound, I just had breakfast a few minutes ago, but I cooked up 2 eggs, scrambled them, sprinkled some cheese on top, cooked a tortilla on both sides, and then put some ketchup on, and then some everything but the bagel seasoning from Trader Joe's, and then I had a glass of cranberry juice. And it's inside me as we speak. What about you?
That sounds kind of magical. I had lunch like 10 minutes prior to this recording.
You're a whole meal ahead of me in
I
terms
am.
of your day's timeline.
My mom made something called upma, which is like made of cream of wheat, has lots of vegetables in it.
And it's a fun word.
Yeah, and I asked my mom what's in it.
She's like, Parth, don't worry about it.
What kind? Well, she was like, yeah, cream of wheat and whatever. And she was like, why do you want to know? And I was like, oh, because I'm going to have to talk about it. And I know Trent's not going to know anything about this Indian dish.
Is that so wrong with me?
And then he's going to ask me what it's made of. And I'm not going to know.
You want to have a good answer.
Yeah. But I found I'm very willing to just eat what my mother will put in front of me without second thought or like not a care in the world as to what I'm putting in my mouth.
I mean, she's a pretty trustworthy lady.
Yeah.
I mean, when she gave me that spicy ice cream once at your house, I mean, you wanted to question it, but sometimes it's just best to trust in Parth's mom.
Was it good?
I'm still here.
I was like, sweet and spicy at the same time. What?
It was like that.
Trent is going to come over to my house tomorrow, my house in Bridgewater.
The house where you're podcasting from currently.
Yeah, and
We can play with some of the board games over your shoulder.
my dad was like, oh, can you eat spicy food? And I was like, yes.
Oh, does that mean I'm getting a meal?
It's not for sure, but he was just wondering.
If I can hang since I'm Caucasian?
It depends on your behavior, I suppose. You know.
And apparently my dieting capacity.
Yeah.
Because if Parth's famous wings are coming to town, I'm going to need a tall glass of water.
My parents would just make not spicy food for you if you couldn't handle the spice. But
I'm up to the challenge.
But you've had Parth's famous wings on the day of their inception.
And you are your father's son.
It's true.
And there has been a lot of talk of an infamous meeting of a double date dinner at your house where a bunch of food was served and apparently was all awesome and probably spicy. And so I'm looking for a little piece of that action.
Oh, are you referring to when Jackson Clark and his girlfriend came over to my house when Sophia and I were there and my mom made palak paneer for all of us?
Yeah. Yeah, I like palak paneer.
Yeah. You know what I like?
Moving forward with the progression of the episode.
Yeah, cueing the intro is what I like. But I'm so magnanimous and generous that I'll let you cue it. Do you want to cue the intro?
Yeah, Parth. Cue the intro.
Welcome back
to.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Okay.
Welcome back to Craft Services, where we talk about the movies. Each week we talk about a film and hopefully have a crew member of that film to talk about their experience working on the picture. Last week, Parth, we had whom?
We had David Lowery, storyboard artist for War of the Worlds, and we have part 2 out here now.
Yes. He also worked on other such films as Spider-Man 2, Craft Service's favorite, War for the Planet of the Apes, Phantom Thread, and of course our film for today, Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds. Starring, we're finishing off the interview section portion of Cruisapalooza. We thank you for joining us on this
Your
bumpy
service.
ride. Yes. And welcome to the new year.
Yes. So this is the last interview for Cruisapalooza. Thank you to everybody that's been on. Thank you to all the listeners that have been listening. And thank you most of all right now to David Lowery, part 2.
Yes.
Should we just cue right into it?
Let's just cue right into it.
Guys, he says that Tom Cruise and Jeff Goldblum give him faith for humanity. Hope for humanity. There's some good...
If that doesn't make you want to listen. Celebrity anecdotes? Industry insider information?
You know who else he talks about?
Tom Cruise?
Sam Raimi.
Oh, wow. Of the Spider-Man 2 fame?
Of Spider-Man 3 fame.
I'm not paying for those.
He stinks, and I don't like him.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Spider-Man! Spider-Man!
Cue the interview. Just getting back to War of the Worlds a little bit. One of the scenes, and I'm not sure if you worked on it or not, but one of the scenes sequences that I really love is the first entrance of the tripod coming up from the ground. Did you work on that?
Yeah. We
what was that like?
It was really that was a pretty amazing day. You know, we were in the Hamptons, and I suppose it was the morning, and we had driven to there's a little airport in the Hamptons that's supposed to be really like expensive to fly in and out of. If anybody, if you can afford to live in the Hamptons, I guess you could afford to, get a flight to the Hamptons and not have to drive up from wherever, Long Island or wherever the hell. So we go to that little airport, and Steven has a helicopter there, and there's a pilot, and Steven's the co-pilot, right? And Dan Gregoire and I get in, and Steven is he's getting hours in as, piloting a helicopter. And so Steven practices like lifting off and touching down a few times. And it's like, and I'd never been in a helicopter. And that was like, it's like a roller coaster at that moment. Going up and down with it is like your stomach goes, bounces off the top of your head. And so then we take off and we fly across the end of Manhattan, out of the Hamptons, end of Manhattan, to Bayonne in New Jersey, where that street corner was, where the big critter comes out. Rick Carter had scouted it, and they could get, permits and control it, how they wanted, with extras and cars and stunts and, practical effects to a certain extent. If you want to roll cars or get dust or blow up stuff to a certain extent, you can't, blow up the street and, hit the water line or whatever, but you can do an element of that and then, and then go on in visual effects of CG and make that moment, and it was pretty awesome. I mean, the scene was probably, like you said, certainly one of the most memorable scenes in the movie, and everybody running and the getting evaporated. And
it's one of the first movies I remember seeing in theaters, and it's, I think, solely because of that sequence.
Look, it's your Jurassic Park, which is our Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's the spirit. I love that. That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, it probably was startling, right? How old were you when you saw it?
4.
Oh, get out. 4?
If it came out in 2005, I was 4, yeah.
You're ruined for life, dude. Sorry.
No, it's pretty awesome. I loved it.
I have sort of a specific question. So if you come in and you're storyboarding War of the Worlds, you're probably gonna have to draw a lot of like spaceships and like the tripods and stuff. Is when you come in, is there like a full encyclopedia of like, here's the ship you're gonna have to draw a lot, here's it from every angle, Or is there some sort of interpretation that will then be refined, like after, like
Yeah, no,
post storyboarding?
that's a very good question. Yeah, it's probably even before we started storyboarding, I would guess. The talks were had about what is this going to look like. This is what it looked like in that 60s movie or 50s movie, whatever, and what's our version going to be. And Doug Chang had a company called Ice Blink at that time, and they were perfecting these beautiful concept paintings, and I'm remiss that I don't know exactly who started the drawing, who started the design, and who finished the design. Of course, Rick Carter, the production, he would be big on that, and Doug Chang certainly capable of designing it. That might have been the trio, between Steven and those two that came up with what it would look like, and those big rubbery legs, though they're metal, they're going to move fluidly and all that, kind of thing. So that was decided by the time we started storyboarding. There was concept art of the key moments. And they're different from what you're going to storyboard because it's somebody else's vision of it, I think, and it was Doug Chang and his guys. They perfected this type of rendering of a painting that would take the elements like that what do you call it, the pod, the creature, the thing that comes up out of the street, the giant thing, and they would build it in 3D and put it in an environment of whatever it is, buildings and cars and people and stuff, and light it in Maya. They would have it built in 3D in Maya, and they would pose that scene and light it really dramatically and use that to paint over, right? So you've got this realistic image, and the painting looks like a photograph because it practically is. It looks like a photograph of what that scene's going to be, what that moment's going to be, and that's what I think though that was the first I was aware of the concept art being that dialed in and that realistic, and that has sort of become the go-to look for concept art in movies. And if you look at the end of Mandalorian, which I'm on, going on our 5th season, the artwork that they show at the end of the show over the credits, I mean, that's those paintings. That's that method still refined to this day. It's just as stunning as hell. I mean, it's just fantastic.
I was gonna ask, there's a single take, or I mean, I don't know how many takes were done of it, but like it's a single shot of Tom Cruise and the kids in the van as they're driving away from all the wreckage. Was that something, like, how do you even storyboard that?
Well, Steven, lays it out what he wants, and he's, and nobody's really quite sure of how you're going to pull that off. It's one thing to want to do it, but then to actually do it, it becomes a conversation with everybody, Steven and Rick Carter and Janusz and I think Dennis, right, was the effects soup. It must have been one of Dennis's last movies, Dennis Murin. And I don't know if Scott Farrar helped him on that from ILM. Scott became, when Dennis kind of retired, Scott Farrar became Steven's go-to effects guy from ILM. Steven always uses ILM, or used ILM. But I do remember drawing that, and you could only do so much with arrows, and we had photos of that big stretch of highway, as I recall, and he's going, isn't he, like going one direction and going through cars and whatnot, and there's a whole line of cars on the other side of the road or something, I think, or something like that. Does that sound?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. So the idea of it was there, and there might even have been, Previs isn't the only the only 3D game in town on a show and a production. You've got the art department is fully equipped with 3D, with Maya and people who can use Maya, and they could lay that stuff out, go to the location and they do just incredible, like in Mandalorian, they'll go send a crew out and go to the desert or the jungle or whatever, and they'll do a photogrammetry, an outdoor scan of the entire area, and I don't know that they did that on that, but I know they had a ton of photographs, and they did build it in 3D after going there and measuring like the size of the road and the length that they could close the road and then in 3D, building that stretch in a 3D model and putting these stalled cars along the way, which you're going to have to be weaving through, and you get the gist of it. So the art department could do that as well. I think something like that. I think I remember something like that coming up before, and that's where then previs really earns its stripes, because it's impossible to draw that accurately, as you're using a helicopter, I think, or maybe a drone, or it's a vehicle with a big crane arm on it, that's going to follow that car and swoop down from the sky and go into the window. And then you've cut and you're inside the van, and that's a whole nother shoot, if I remember how that worked. And you're in the van, they're all freaking out, they're all doing, then you come out of the van on the other side, I think, and up again, you watch it go. I think it was something like that, but we did draw it, but the gist of it would be something figured out in 3D, and Janusz, and then along with Janusz, Kwiatkowski, his grip would be figuring out how you're going to move the camera, in the parts that they're going to film out on that highway, and I don't even, maybe they did the whole thing CG ultimately. I don't even remember. I mean, that's also how a lot of stuff ends up, where it's like, you do figure it out, the parts you can do for real, and then you figure out how much it's going to cost and how many days it's going to be to make it work, and then you just go, let's just do it in CG, and figure it out that way. But I do think it was a real shoot, and it was stitched together, with those elements, but we did draw it.
Closing out on War of the Worlds, is there any sequence or sequences that you remember drawing but that got cut from the final film?
No, nothing comes to mind. Nothing jumps out. Like I remember drawing this stuff, and it's all pretty much there in the film, and again, it's Steven's vision, and he's drawing it first, and he's seeing it, and you're along for the ride, and you're helping him in that way, and and all of those things, the evacuation, and when don't they get to, there's a scary bit in the van, and there's guys with guns, and it's just like, it's just really rough and tough, and then they get out, and aren't they on the wharf or the jetty or something, and then there's this scene with the ferry boat and the thing coming up from underwater, and then all these long shots too, and then you're following it underwater as it flips over, and all just like I don't know if you remember, there's the famous the Hindenburg disaster, the footage of it, and the guy is just, the narrator who's there when it blows up, and they're filming it, is, and there's burning people running by, and it's like, and he's just like crying, all the humanity, it's like, and that's what I felt like in some of those scenes. It's just like all the humanity, just the horror of it. It was pretty amazing. And then the scene, the big firebomb scene over the hill, where he thinks he lost his son, and the army's going, all that, it's still seared in our minds. We're talking about it how many years later, and it's as if, we're watching it in our memory right now.
Spielberg and iconography,
Yeah. He's tattooed it in our memory.
Yeah. We're doing War of the Worlds as part of an ongoing series that we call Cruisapalooza, where we're going through a bunch of Tom Cruise films. And as part of that, I wanted to ask if you ever got the chance to meet him, and if you did, do you have any story?
Oh yeah. I love Tom Cruise. And Steven brought him by. Yeah, I mean, he was probably, him and Jeff Goldblum and I don't know who else were probably the nicest superstars you could ever meet. It was just great. It just gives you hope for humanity in a way, you know what I mean? In a way like that. Somebody like that is, and in Tom Cruise's case, is just so grounded and caring and nice about it all. He's just so cool. Steven brought him in once. This was one of those lucky days when when you come up with something that Steven's scratching his head about, the very opening of it. How do we get from the drop on the plant to the thing or wherever it was? I forget exactly, but it was, and I drew it and I pitched it to Steven. And he loved it. Right. And Tom Cruise happened to be in the art department or around in the production office and getting Steven, showing him around the art department, and he brings him in, and I pitch the opening of the movie to Tom Cruise, and he's of course, his trademark, just super excited about it at first, just really stoked and like over the top excited, and it was really great. And then he turns and he goes, kind of nudges me, hey, not a bad day for you, right? You go home tonight and you say, yeah, I just pitched the opening of Steven Spielberg's movie to him, and it went okay. Sort of like, it was just great. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? It's like, that was wonderful. Tom Cruise was wonderful. And he has this, that generosity of spirit, of his is real, and on Minority Report too. I don't know that I had a moment like that with him on Minority Report, but on War of the Worlds, there was a coffee cart guy.
We just interviewed a sound mixer on Magnolia, and he said he brought a coffee and tea truck or something to set every day that he came. Yeah,
this guy. Well, when it was just a cart, it wasn't a truck yet. He upgraded. That's good. So it was a cart, and he would make, he had the espresso machine on it, whatever, and he would make anything you wanted. And it turns out, in talking to him over the course of that he worked for Tom, right? He was an employee of Tom Cruise's, and Tom Cruise met him on some other film and sort of wooed him away from whatever the company was that was supplying this guy in the coffee cart. And Tom Cruise hired him to be his guy to come to the set because Tom liked a certain thing and whatever. And it was, that alone is pretty cool. And it was free for everybody. It just, all you could drink. And I said to the guy, I said, well, that's pretty good. Is it a good living? And he stopped and he looked at me and he said, he goes, I just bought a house thanks to Tom Cruise.
Yeah, selling coffee off
well,
that's awesome.
He's not selling it. He's a salaried employee for Tom Cruise, and Tom's paying him enough that he could make a good living doing that. And that's a generous Tom Cruise. So God bless Tom Cruise. What other stories you got about him? You got anything?
We've got because I'm the huge Tom Cruise fan of the two of us, and Trent is the big David Fincher fan, and so whenever we get a guest that has worked on either or both of their movies, we always ask.
We ask for any and all anecdotes, and
basically everybody that we interview and ask about Tom Cruise is always like, he's really intense, he's really energetic, he's and like weirdly like crazy nice to everyone,
And he can meet you one day like in passing, and then 5 years later see you on set again and remember your name and be like, haha, good
Nice.
times.
How
we shared.
nice is that? Holy moly! I didn't know he could remember your name so like that. That's so cool. Yeah, I only met David Fincher once. On a commercial. He was doing a Coke commercial that did it have UFOs in it or something? Some like cute UFOs, something. Can't remember. But I did the boards and I had to go show him the boards, and he was editing a film at the time, and I'm sadly remiss that I can't remember what the film was. I should remember. I don't know. I don't remember. But I went in there, and I think he had very, very short hair. He was sitting in the editing, and I think they paused the edit. Whatever, they paused the editing, and he went over the boards because this was like a side job. This wasn't the job he was there editing. He's sort of taking time out, which I don't know if his producer was in there, but that's the kind of thing that really irks the producer who's paying for the editing room by the minute and here you're whatever, But Fincher was very nice. He looked through the boards, and he made a couple corrections. Do this angle instead and do that angle, and he's very precise and very focused and that was it. And I went off and I did the changes, but that was my one Fincher bit. And Fincher told me, okay, draw it 64 times because I'm going to do 64 takes of this one shot. No, I'm kidding. Fincher's famous for that, right? 40 takes,
100 shots, 100 takes of Social Network.
Coming into the bathroom, that thing over and over. Oh, I remember Dan Bradley is the second unit stunt guy extraordinaire.
We've been trying to get him on the show.
Yeah. He wouldn't. Oh, tell him Dave Lowery says to do it. Dan's wonderful. He's like probably the toughest guy, one of the two toughest guys I've ever met. He's just great. Anyway. Wait, Jeff Goldblum. Where's my wife Susie's here somewhere, but we were, I think it was after Jurassic, and we were at the rap party or something, and Goldblum I just went up to him and said something to him, whatever, and we were walking along with him, and there was piano music playing, and he was sort of like dancing as he talked and bebopping and scatting along,
vibrating.
It was really great. He was really another energetic, very, very nice guy.
Somehow, whenever we hear stories about any of these, like very
eccentric,
I don't know, loud, eccentric, vibrant people, even in these small split instances, they're always doing something that exactly matches your perception of them.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a big Sam Raimi guy, and you mentioned him briefly, and I believe you worked on Spider-Man 2 and 3. And I just,
the first one,
any Sam Raimi.
Did the reshoots on the first one. That's where I first met him, and he was wonderful. He was one of the most beloved directors, still is, that whenever anybody that works for him just comes away, just they love him for life. He's just so fun and generous and hardworking. He works so hard that it inspires you to work hard too, to work harder than you ever have, and he's very appreciative of everybody's effort and everybody's work. He really, really makes it a worthwhile hard work, hard time, but he makes it worthwhile.
Trent, do you think it's time
for the Big Kahuna final question? So the Big Kahuna final question would be, what is the last great film that you watched?
Oh.
And it can be a first-time viewing or a rewatch of an old film.
No,
but it's got to be great.
I guess what comes in my right away is there was Seven Samurai was on somewhere. I love that. It's one of my top 3 films, I think, of all time. And so I guess film-wise, that's it. I've been watching all the streaming services, that have so much content it's really wonderful, actually. That seems like every writer and director must be working in town because there's so many shows to weed through,
Absorb.
Yeah, I don't. That's a little, maybe Seven Samurais, maybe a little presumptuous or something, or a little fussy.
I think Akira Kurosawa is cool
for a hack like me who works on.
I think a lot of people would consider it like one of the greatest films of all time. So I think you're in good company.
Take that.
Parth, you want to bring us out?
Yeah, I was going to say, thank you so much to Dave Lowery. He's the storyboard artist behind such projects as Spider-Man 2, War for the Planet of the Apes, Phantom Thread, and our film for today, Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds.
And Mandalorian.
Oh, yes, yeah. And The Mandalorian.
And The Mandalorian.
Which comes back next year, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you guys. And thanks again for being such super fans and for caring enough to put all this effort into it. Hollywood appreciates that. Hollywood lives for you guys. We need you.
We live for Hollywood.
Yeah.
We complete
there
each
you
other.
Go. There's a Tom Cruise line, baby, right there.
Yeah, you complete me, you know?
Yeah, baby.
I think we're destined to do this forever. What an interview. What a great interview.
Trent.
Parth, did you enjoy the interview? I know I did as I'm working through this burp.
I really enjoyed this interview, Trent.
Learned a lot.
Yes, I'm sad to see Cruisapalooza go.
I know.
But I suppose that's what we're doing next week with our final episode. Yeah. It's going to be our War of the Worlds discussion with Trent and I. Do you think there's going to be, and Trent's going to be editing this, so I guess this is really all in his hands, but do you think there's going to be a lot of like the yeah.
That sound? Yeah. I can almost
do you like in Popstar Never Stop Never Stopping when the helmet light has the War of the Worlds sound?
I do. That's become one of our most referenced movies recently.
Yeah. But anyways, thank you so much, David Lowery. Not that David Lowery.
Yeah, not the director of The Green Knight, but still a very talented man in the film industry.
Yes.
And this David Lowery, appreciate you. If the other Dave Lowery you want to come on too, we can have both of you on at the same time.
Duke it out for the name.
2-on-2. Yes, the winner of the interview will get to keep the name and continue working in movies. Deal?
Yeah. But yeah, next week, our War of the Worlds discussion. I think it's just going to be just Trent and I, but who knows? This is the last week.
Maybe an alien who can't deal with bacteria will come.
This is the last week of winter break, last full week of winter break that we're going to have, so anything can happen.
Soon we'll need to, starting Monday, we're going to have to start gathering interviews for the new year.
We've got some fun stuff planned. We've got some stuff coming up.
Some romantic stuff. Between you and I, between us and other individuals.
Us and other individuals.
There's going to be a lot of love in the air in the new year.
Yeah. So it's a little, some old movies, some new movies, lot is inbound.
Old friends and new friends and even a bear, like the Cleveland show.
Wow. Go
Trent.
Trent.
This is the Cleveland show.
Okay. Anyways.
Okay.
Thank you guys for listening. Make sure to go listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your
podcasts.
Make sure to rate, review us on whichever ones allow you to do that. Go check out our Instagram, our Twitter. That's our social media. You can keep up to date with us there. And
tell a friend.
Yes. Does it help? Wait, Trent, I don't know if it helps.
It really does help. That's the thing.
Yeah. So do that. It really helps. And thank you guys. We'll
continued
see you
support
next year. I mean, that's wrong.
We'll see you throughout this year and next week. Not tomorrow. Well, actually, tomorrow's Sunday.
For us tomorrow, but for the listener, if they're listening on Sunday, then next week. Though, if they're listening a week from now,
then it is actually tomorrow for them. Do you know what I mean?
No, but have a good rest of your day, everyone.
Looks like a spider, talks like a bug, and we should all just give him one big hug. Look out, woo! Here comes the Spider-Man.
I'm comfortable leaving off there.